Hi everyone, it's Kristie here from KP Creatives with another video for Two Scrapbook Friends. Today we are going to be making some super quick and easy cards by applying our ink cubes direct to paper. So I've got a couple pieces of hammermill cardstock cut out. These are 4 inches across by 5 1/4 tall, so they will fit really nicely on an A2 card panel. So this is the hammermill that I'm going to apply the ink directly to. We're going to be using a whole bunch of Pinkfresh Studio inks. I have the ink cubes from this collection. You could also use any inks that you've got. Ink cubes are probably the easiest thing to use for this type of technique, but if you've got full-size ink pads, that'll work too. You're just gonna have to play around with the technique a little bit, but it will totally work. For our sentiments, because we're not going to be stamping anything, we're going to be using this great package of foiled sentiments from Pinkfresh. A lot of companies have these now. You can get them from Pinkfresh. Two Scrapbook Friends also has them available from Waffle Flower, and I think maybe a couple of others, or any ephemera packs that you may have in your collection. Any of that will work. That's what we're going to use for the greeting on the card. So I've got some of the sentiments off to the side. I've got my hammermill cardstock all set to go, so we are going to get into it. So what you want to do for this technique is not think about it too much. I'm going to actually show you a couple of panels that I've already completed so that you can see where we are going for this technique. So basically what we're going to do is take our ink pads and just swipe them directly on the paper. So you want to choose colors that generally go together, and the reason that I love using the Pinkfresh inks for this technique is because when you buy the ink cubes, they already come in packs of their color families. So what we're going to do with the example today is use the lightest ink color from yellow, orange, pink, and one of the red selections, and we're just going to layer those together. So we will make this one in the card today. I'll show you another example using some greens and blues. Again, this was the 4 lightest colors from green and blue sets, so they automatically go together, no guessing. The other thing we're going to try is doing an ombre look with one of the color families. So this is with the teal color family, and this example is with the purple color family. I'm going to walk you through how to do it with one of the blue sets, but we will make these into cards for our video today. So I'm going to start out with the lightest color. I find with this technique, this is the method that works best. So I'm going to start out with Lemon Whip, grab the ink cube, and I'm just going to say we're going to go horizontal in this quadrant and this quadrant of the card panel. So just pushing down directly onto my paper, filling in that quadrant. It doesn't need to be totally saturated. You kind of want it looking a little wispy because we're going to layer the colors on top of each other, and you're going to see some of that Lemon Whip shining through. So there we go, Lemon Whip done. We're going to go in then with Peach Fuzz right on top of the Lemon Whip. So I'm going to keep that same direction. So you can see now we've got the Peach Fuzz over top. You can see some of that Lemon Whip coming through. Just turning around the panel and layering that up. Next, we're going to go into the open spots on the card panel with Ballet Slipper. And I'm going to go the other direction just so we get some variation on the card. So now we're going the other way. I'm overlapping a little bit into each of those quadrants so that we see the colors. I mean, they're not really blending together, but they are overlapping. So we'll get this quadrant filled in. You kind of have to play around with the pressure. Every ink pad is different. Some are juicier than others. So I would go in with a light hand first. I'm going to go over the coral, I'm going to take Coral Reef to put over Ballet Slipper now. And I love the look of those two. So cool. And it brings in a little bit of the orange from the Peach Fuzz when you overlap with the yellow and orange that we have on there. So really cool. So I'm just going to go in again a little bit with some more Peach Fuzz in this area. Let's get a little bit more of that down. And that's it. Card panel, done. So I used a little bit more of a heavy hand on this one than I did with the original example, just so you can see the difference. Now these inks will, when they dry, they do dry a little bit lighter. So this one will lighten up a little bit, but I'm going to set it off to the side to dry, and then we'll come back and make it into a full card front after. I'm going to take little cloths here, get our work surface cleaned up, because now we're going to go in with different colors of ink, and I don't want there to be card contamination on our mat here. So we'll get those inks out of the way. And now we're going in with one of the blue sets from the Pink Fresh collection. So at the darkest we have Stargazer, then we have Sapphire, Blue Jay, and our lightest in this set is Slumber. So I'm going to grab my piece of Hammermill cardstock, and we are going to go just direct to paper, and we're going to do a diagonal to get a bit of an ombre effect for this card front. So I'm going to go in with Slumber first, and I'm just going to put that right down on the paper. Go to where about I think is reasonable. There's no real science to that part. Then I'm going to go in with Blue Jay. And then Sapphire. So you can see you're starting to get that really nice gradient of blues. And then we're going to finish off with Stargazer. And you can go as heavy or as light as you want. You do want to make sure you're getting some overlap of those colors, and you can always go back in. So I'm going to go back in a little bit with Blue Jay. And once more with Slumber, just in that top corner, and overlap with the Blue Jay a little bit. There we go. So you can see you have that really lovely gradient of blues. I think my piece of paper was up against that wet cloth, and I have a little bit of water damage on my paper. So I'll bring my paper trimmer in and we'll cut this down just so that we don't get that those little bubbles on the finished card project. So we'll take care of that as we go through the next stage of the process. So I'm going to get these ink cubes closed up. We'll wipe down our work surface and get to making these into cards. So you can see how quickly you can make backgrounds by using those ink family, the ink color families from Pink Fresh, which I love. So I'm gonna trim this down to 3.5 by 4 3/4, and yeah, I think I'll trim that side. Okay, and that just got rid of that little just spot that had gotten wet as we were working away there. So if that happens to you, or you get, you know, something on the edges of your project, just cut it down to the next size and you'll be good to go. Okay, so let's bring in some of these sentiments from Pink Fresh. I love these foiled sentiments. They are a fantastic addition to your card making projects, even scrapbooking or your planners. Really fantastic to be able to use these sentiments. So I'm going to go with, let's see here. I think that Best Wishes with the gold looks excellent on this lighter colored one. Let's see, what other gold ones do we have in this selection here? How about Be Happy and Smile? Love that. That looks great. So we've got those two taken care of. Then maybe we'll have So Very Happy for You on this one. You are brave. You are amazing. Remember that. And lastly, on the purple, let's go with, let's see here. We'll do this birthday themed one. So hope today is filled with love, laughter, and everything good. So that's what we'll go with for our sentiments. I think we will pop these up on some foam tape. I might pop up the panels as well. We'll see how things go here. But I am going to cut some foam tape so that we can so that we can pop up these sentiments a little bit. So let's get some foam tape cut here and we'll start to work with it. We'll do we'll take the easy way out and do the rectangle first. That's obviously the easiest one. So we'll get a little bit of foam tape down there. That one's easy. Then we'll go in, I'm gonna cut some of this foam tape down a little bit so that it'll fit on the back of these sentiments. That's good. I really like these Tim Holtz haberdashery scissors for cutting this foam tape. It works really, really well. So if you have scissors that kind of get gummed up a little bit, try and switch to these ones. They really hold up great. And if you do get a little bit of glue on them, super easy to clean. So they are a nice addition to the Crafty collection. Just gonna get a couple more sections of this sentiment popped up so we don't have anything sagging around. That looks good. Move on to the next one. It's nice to give sentiments like this just a little bit of loft when you're sending them, especially through the mail. Nice to get a little bit of dimension as they go through. Okay, that's good. Cut a little bit more here. You could also use foam squares. If you have those handy, that would work perfectly for these. And of course, you could also just glue them right down to the paper. That would work as well. So that one's done. Just a couple more here. Just bear with me as we get through adding the dimension here. If you didn't have these foiled sentiments, of course, if you just had sentiments in your collection already that you wanted to use, that would work perfect. And as I mentioned at the beginning, any ephemera packs that you may have, you know, I know some of us have scrapbooking kits or collection packs that we have collected over the years, and this is another great use for those items. So really a great opportunity to hit your stash, see what you've got, and have the opportunity to make some really quick fun and easy cards just by using that direct to paper technique with the ink cubes, or as I mentioned, you could use the ink directly to ink pads if you wanted. So I'm going to use this piece, what was this, Best Wishes. This one, maybe I shouldn't have picked this one. This one's going to be a little finicky as we get the foam tape on here. I know this cutting of the foam tape is not for everyone. So if this is not your thing, just don't do it. It's okay. You don't have to do all the things. You can just adhere this right down to the card front and you're done. So please don't feel like this is something you absolutely have to do if it's something that drives you bananas. I'm okay with it because I think these cards are pretty simple otherwise. So I don't mind putting a little bit more time into getting these sentiments a little bit raised. But if I had already spent a significant amount of time on the card front, I probably would take a pass on this and just pop up the overall card panel. So totally up to you of how you want to adhere your sentiments. And of course, if you didn't want to adhere any sentiments, or you aren't into die cutting, you could just stamp right onto the panel. So lots of different options here for everybody, but the overall simplicity of these cards I really think cannot be beat. It's so simple, easy, and you can do with almost any type of ink that you've got in your stash, which is fantastic. Oxides would be really cool because of course they blend so well and they're so nice and creamy. That would be pretty fun. So I think we are all set to start to get these sentiments down. So I'm going to start with this one. I'll just build up a little pile here of the release paper as we take off all the backing for the sentiments. I really like the look of the gold foil and the silver foil against some of these colors. I think the Waffle Flower collection of sentiments actually has silver as well as black and white. So really nice options for that. So best wishes, that's done. Let's go on to the You Are Brave. The other thing I really like about this technique is I know sometimes we struggle to find more neutral type cards, you know, cards that aren't so flowery or things like that. And this is a great technique to use for more neutral cards. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So You Are Brave. That's not quite in the center. Just move that just a little. There we go. Excellent. The nice thing too about these foiled sentiments is you don't have to necessarily have all of the Stampin' Die sets. You can have a couple of them and then supplement with these foiled packs, which is really nice. It's a great option to have. There we go. Almost done here. We've got a couple left. Sorry, I know this is a bit tedious, but I think it's really great to show how many cards we can actually make using this technique, how straightforward and simple it is. And then you guys can see how easy it is to just take, you know, even half an hour in your craft room and be able to create a bunch of these in a relatively short period of time, which is always nice. Sometimes I like to spend a long time on a technique. Other times I just want to crank out some cards. So I really like this technique for those times. Let's get that straight here. There we go. And made it easy on myself. Save the easy one for last. Let's get this last one down. Hope today is filled with love, laughter, and everything good. Hopefully that's many days for all of us. Okay, so there we go. We've got our finished card panels. I'm going to bring in my card bases, and I think because we added the dimension already, I'm just going to go straight with liquid glue on the back of the card panels, and we will get these adhered down and see if we want to add anything else. I've got a couple of gems and jewels out here. So we'll see if we want to add anything in. But I've got right now my Gina K Connect glue loaded into one of the little bottles. So we're going to just get these card panels all glued up, and then we can do some mass production here. I love putting the glue into these little bottles. They're available from Two Scrapbook Friends. I believe from Gina K if you're in the brand section. They also used to have them by Lavinia. They are fantastic, and they really make things easy for liquid glue because you get these precision tips and it's excellent. So highly recommend getting one of the, I think they come in packs of 2 or 3, but they're great. And you know what? They're also really great if you work with alcohol inks. I have one filled with isopropyl alcohol to make my alcohol ink workflow just a little bit easier. So I've got 2 sizes of card panels. I'm going to bring in my secret weapon ruler and start adhering these down onto the card fronts. Okay, so we have several cards here. I might take a look here and see if there's any to add some bling to. I think this Be Happy and Smile is okay, but I think for some of the others, and we'll see, maybe all of them at the end of the day, we might add some bling. So I've got some Pink Fresh Studio Glacier Jewels. Pop these down into my embellishment tray and grab my embellishment wand from Maker Forte. And let's see what it looks like when we add in a few gems to bling this card up a little. Kind of like that. So I think I will use that layout for this one, and I am going to add some gems to the others as well. I think I really like these glacier gems because they sort of pick up the colors in your project, which is really nice. Okay, so now we've got our placement, we've got our precision glue, and it makes it so easy to put a little tiny bit. Now, I will tell you a trick when you are adhering these embellishments. Don't put the glue down and put the gem on right away. Give it a second to set up. That glue, just in that short period of time, is going to get a little bit tacky, and your embellishment is going to stick a lot easier to the glue, because sometimes, I'm sure you've all experienced, you put your glue down, you put your sentiment on top, or your embellishment on top, and it wiggles all over the place. If you leave it for just a couple of seconds, it does not need long. It just gives enough time for that glue to get tacky, and then your bling will stick right to it easier. So see, we're not getting big wiggles because it's just enough time for it to stick nicely too. And you can see on a couple of those, I've got a little bit of the glue sticking out. It'll dry clear. Not to worry at all. Okay, so we're just gonna keep going here. Same process, getting those glue dots down. And then adhering. I love using this Maker Forte tool because you get both this tacky end and the pokey end to move the gems around. So it's really easy to use, especially if you're going through adhering a whole bunch of embellishments as we are here today. And again, what an advantage to have this precision tip of the glue. I just love these teal or teal emerald colors. Just feels like we're swimming in the ocean. And we're almost done here. One more after this card. And hopefully this video has given you some ideas of how to use direct-to-paper techniques with the different inks that you have in your collection. Again, we use dye inks today, but you could try this with oxides for sure, or any other type of pigment ink that you have. With pigment inks and the oxide, you just have to remember you have to leave longer time to dry. The dye inks do dry faster, so you don't have to have that time in between. But that was a great card mass production session. So we have 6 cards in total. So we have Be Happy and Smile, Best Wishes, You're Amazing, Remember That, You're Brave, So Very Happy for You, and Hope Your Day is Filled with Love, Laughter, and Everything Good. So really basic supplies for this one: ink cubes, foiled sentiments, and you are good to go. I'm really glad that you joined us here today. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and we will see you next time.